Hey, I'm Solomon with ClickX. Today's marketing hack of the day, I'm going to show you how you're going to repurpose your old content and how you're going to generate even more ROI from the content that you've already invested a lot of time and effort into. Sounds good? Let's get started.
Marketing hack of the day is brought to you by ClickX.
So why should you repurpose content? Well, the first thing you have to think about is how you're going to reach new audience. Depending on how you repurpose your content, you might have the new content going to different platforms where you can reach new audience that you would have never reached had it been just keeping it in the original format that it was in. You might hear at conferences or read blog posts or watch videos where it says, create more engaging content. They're always talking about how you should create more engaging content. And you might be asking yourself, well, geez, Solomon, how do I exactly create more engaging content? And what I want to help you understand is that you have some engaging content already. How do you make the most of those into different formats and different platforms? That's how it's going to be generated for some of your content creation. Maybe others you have to create new, but there's a lot that you can actually repurpose. There's a statistic that content marketing costs 62% less than outbound marketing, and it generates 3 times as many leads as outbound marketing. So you have to think to yourself, why should you invest this amount of time? It's because content marketing actually works. It actually generates more leads than outbound marketing practices, 3 times more, and it costs 60% less. So if it's going to cost me 60% less, it's going to generate 3 times more leads. Am I going to do it? The answer is yes, we're going to do it because there's no reason why you shouldn't do it. You have to understand that your most loyal followers to your website that keeps coming back to your page and follows you on your feed, all sorts of feed, whether your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed, they're not always looking at all the content, right? They might miss it out the first time. So if you don't actually repurpose it, they may never see the content, right? Even some of your most loyal fans, like your customers, might not even see your content all at the same time. So it has to be part of your strategy that you're going to repurpose it. In fact, as you're creating the content, you should have a plan that in a month from now, we're going to turn this into a social post, or we're going to create 3 sub-blog posts about it. We're going to turn this into an infographic. Maybe this is going to get turned into a webinar. This is what you have to do as you're preparing to create the content. Or if you fail to plan ahead, you can actually take the content and then do it after the fact. I think the biggest challenge of repurposing content is finding the right type of content to repurpose it as, right? So you might be able to take a piece of content and turn into SlideShare, but you might not be able to turn that into a video, right? Or an infographic. Infographics are tricky. It needs a lot of statistics. You can't really take a blog post and turn it into infographics. So finding the right fit to repurpose, I think, is the most critical component. So here are a couple of things that you can do with your existing content that you have. You might want to turn your current content into SlideShare, right? That's really easy to do. Turn them into a presentation. You might want to create blogs off of it, additional blog posts. You might want to turn them into a video content. You might want to create a bunch of social posts, right? Take all the stats that you have and turn them into an infographic. Take 3 or 4 blog posts and have a webinar series that go around that. An ebook, a checklist. The list goes on and on as to how you can repurpose it. You just really what's limiting you is your creativity. It's not the lack of content and all the lack of ideas. I think what limits you is just how much creativity you can put into it. No one will even recognize that this is repurposed content. Now, as you're thinking about repurposing content, I want to give you some tips, right, on how you can do that. One of the things that you want to do is that you're taking the original content that you wrote, think about whether or not things have changed about the blog post, right? Maybe the service terminology, maybe there's some new findings that happen in the marketplace that you want to expand on. Maybe you really skim down on the length, maybe you want to make it a lot longer, right? Maybe your branding, maybe the name of the service has changed in your company. So think about what has changed since you originally wrote the content and how you can update that the second time around. Maybe you had some links, maybe you had some external links that you used in your original content that you might want to update, right? You might say, you know what, back in the day I linked up to these 3 resources, but they're not the latest, they're not the greatest, most relevant resources now, so I'm going to update it the second time around, and really understanding whether or not the content is really up to date. That's the biggest component of repurposing content. Don't just take an old blog post and just change the words and try to turn it into a video or a SlideShare. Think about whether or not this is actually up-to-date information. Maybe things have changed, and obviously things are changing, so it's really up to you to make sure that you really have put all of your effort into kind of coming up with an updated version of the content as you're repurposing it. Obviously, it's going to take you a lot less time to repurpose the content than creating new content. So it's going to save you time anyway. So you might as well take that little bit of time that you do need and figure out what is the up-to-date information on this particular topic. So I hope I gave you some insight as to how you can breathe some fresh air into some of your old content, right? Help you take maybe 50% of the time that you invest into creating it the first time and how you're gonna get more ROI from it. That's the hack of the day. Thank you for watching another edition of Marketing Hack of the Day.
3, 2, 1. Subscribe to our channel!